We got some insane laws that still exist in the USA. I have a law that doesn't exist that absolutely should. I think that it should be against the law and illegal for somebody to use the bathroom, right, to take a shit without washing their hands, okay? I feel like they should be criminally prosecuted. You know who else should be prosecuted under the court of law and receive multiple felony charges? The people, we were just talking about this earlier, the people who somehow managed to, like, shit on the wall in a public bathroom. Like, how is your aim so bad that you can't even aim at something straight down, bro? It's explosive diarrhea all over the wall, bro. Like a fucking cannon, dude. Just spraying that shit. People who do that should be criminally prosecuted, bro. Serve jail time. Because that is a crime against humanity, bro. That's a safety hazard, okay? So those should be some fucking laws, alright?
You're woken by a bang at the door. Open up! Come out with your hands up! You can't believe this is happening. Could you really be in trouble with federal officials over lunch meat? You might be surprised.
I remember when I was a little kid, right? And this was before Spotify and shit was super popular, right? I had an iPod, right? And I refused to pay for music, right? Nobody fucking buys music. Nobody buys music. So I was the type of dude to, like, illegally download the music so that I can listen to that shit, bro. Every time I did it, bro, I'm sitting here downloading a 5-minute Chris Brown song. And I'm shaking and I'm sweating bullets, bro. And I'm, like, nervous that the CIA is gonna, like, bust in through my fucking window and put me in shackles, dude. Because I illegally downloaded a Chris Brown T-Pain song, dude.
A lot of laws on the books in the United States, and some are genuinely bizarre. Here are some of the craziest state and federal U.S. laws that still exist. One thing that all states have in common is laws against drunk driving. It's illegal in all 50 states to operate a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level above a certain level.
That's
some
obvious.
states expand that to other vehicles like bikes, scooters, and even tractors. But Wyoming adds a unique vehicle to that. Skis.
Wyoming.
Skiing under the influence could get you charged with a misdemeanor and facing up to 20 days in jail. It makes sense a drunk skier could cause a dangerous...
Bro, this law isn't even that big of a problem, bro. Because there's nobody in Wyoming for you to run into. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you gonna crash. It's not like you zooming down a mountain, there's 5 people at the bottom. No, like, there's a squirrel and a bear. Like, that's it. It's Wyoming, dude.
Crash that could hurt themselves or others.
Nobody's getting hurt in Wyoming.
This happen exactly? Some laws are common sense, maybe a little too common sense. Have you ever told a friend, I know this route so well I could find it blindfolded? Well, you're apparently not the only one, because in Alabama, someone might have taken that challenge a little too literally. The southern state has a law on the books prohibiting driving while your vision is obscured with a blindfold. As it's unlikely to have happened too often, we're guessing that the law might have well been named after the person who inspired it. So when in...
Dude, the fact that they have to have an actual written law tells me that motherfuckers in Alabama were literally driving around with blindfolds on, bro. And then they sister wife sitting next to him, dude.
In Alabama,
like, there's
don't
no
be
way.
a dick. Keep your eyes on the road. Another area where a lot of strange laws come into play, our furry friends. Maybe you have a grandma who loved to knit, and she would use anything she could get her hands on to create a sweater. Well, if she lives in Delaware, there's one thing you don't have to worry about her using. It is illegal in the tiny northwestern state to sell dog or cat hair. A Class B misdemeanor to sell any part of a domestic dog or cat. This is...
Who's walking around selling dog hair? Like what? Is that what they be doing in Delaware? Is that how they get down in Delaware, bro? That's how they be partying up there in New England, bro. It's like, it's instead of going to 7-Eleven and hitting up your plug to get re-upped on an 8-ball of Coke, instead you pull around the back, bro, and you do like a shady business deal for a bag of cat hair. Like what is that, dude? Like, it's like, what, you pay $15 an ounce? How does that work?
Is no doubt a disappointment to the owner of Persian cats everywhere as they coat the house in a thin layer of hair every shedding season. But there's nothing stopping her from knitting her own pet's sheddings. But this next one might be a little harder to enforce. In the old days in Indiana, it was apparently pretty popular to have high-intensity horse races. These would often take place in public streets, which could be a
Indiana.
danger to pedestrians. So the state passed a common-sense law banning people from riding horses above 10 miles an hour anywhere in the state. There's just one problem. Did anyone tell the horses? They probably don't know how to read speed limits. And an out-of-control horse could
So
mean that
people really just be riding around on horses? That's a thing, bro. I've seen horses in downtown Denver, bro, but it's like those carriage rides. You know what I'm saying? Like you pay like $50, right? 2 horses, you sit in the thing and then you ride around on the town with your lover, right? I've seen those. But do people just like casually, like instead of copping like a new Toyota, bro, they just buy a horse? And they just like it's like honey, I'm going to the store, I'll be back, bro, and you just carrying milk on the back of a horse? Is that a thing?
But with the arrival of cars, that's probably less of a worry. How fast do they go again? But at least this law protects one
Could you
animal,
imagine being
maybe.
stuck in traffic behind a horse and then it just like starts shitting?
Bigfoot, the mysterious North American megafauna, or maybe just a guy named Bob in a gorilla suit.
Bigfoot.
Many people believe the missing link exists, and they go into the woods regularly searching for it. But if you're Bigfoot hunting in Washington state, better make sure that you're only armed with a camera. Since 1969, the famous cryptid has been legally protected, with shooting a Bigfoot being a felony punishable by 5 years in prison, and he's now legally
What?
classified as an endangered species. If you see him, let him know. It's not the only
Nice.
state with some strange hunting regulations. In Virginia, there's a rich hunting tradition. Sportsmen and those looking to put some game on the menu do go out daily and shoot birds and mammals in the woods, except on Sunday. This isn't uncommon, as many states have regulations preserving Sunday as a day of rest for religious reasons, but there's one exception to this no-hunting bill in Virginia. The law bans the shooting of any wild bird or wild animal, including nuisance species, on Sundays, with the exception of raccoons. Virginia really went, we hate this one species particularly. Poor trash pandas. We bet this
Nice,
next law
bro.
never...
You go out and you ready to just bust a cap in a fucking raccoon. You realize, damn, it's Sunday, bro. It's, I can't eat Chick-fil-A and I can't shoot these damn coons, bro. So you just like sit and you watch it until like 12:01 after midnight, bro, and then you just let loose. You just empty the whole fucking clip, bro. Go down and get you some Chick-fil-A.
even crossed your mind. There's nothing like a frog jumping competition, right? Okay, not many people know about this sport, which involves seeing how far a frog can jump after startling it. But this can be occasionally dangerous for the frog, and California wants to make sure those heroic athletes get treated well. If a frog is killed or otherwise dies in competition, it is forbidden to eat it or use the body for any other purpose. Alas, no drowning the sorrows of losing a prize-jumping frog with an appetizer of frog legs. Few areas have more strange laws than food. In Connecticut, they take pickles seriously. When legislators were
Pickles.
discussing how to check for good quality pickles, because really biting into a mushy pickle is pretty disgusting, they
Oh yeah,
passed a law.
nobody wants a bad pickle, bro. A bad pickle in itself should be a crime. You know what I'm saying? Like if you put a bad pickle on my plate, bro, and you serve that to me, bro, I should call the cops on you. You know what I'm
Stating
saying?
that any pickle sold in the state
facts.
must be able to bounce when dropped on the floor. This was actually tested
What the fuck does that mean?
in 1948 when 2 pickle vendors were reported for selling pickles that were unfit for human consumption. Sure enough, their wares didn't bounce and they were arrested. But that raises the question of how safe it is to drop pickles on the floor.
Bouncy? Yeah, what happens, bro? Like, do you have to test every pickle? And then like, wait, well, where do you go from there, bro? You bounce it on the floor and you're like, okay, it passes the test. And then you sell a pickle that you just bounced on the dirty floor? How does that work, bro? Do some pickles have more bounce than others, bro? Like, somebody made, like, a fucking atomic bounce pickle. Like, they dropped it on the floor, and then it just ricocheted on all the walls, and it just became, like, a weapon, dude. Everybody's, like, hiding under the tables trying to avoid death by pickle. Dude, there's a lot of layers to this one, bro. And it's literally just some damn pickles.
Did you know you could get arrested over pizza? We've probably all had it happen to us. We hear a knock at the door and there's a pizza delivery man holding a piping hot pie. But you didn't order a pizza. Maybe it was a prank, maybe it was a misprint, but now you're having an awkward argument and you probably want pizza. Well, in Louisiana, sending someone a pizza they didn't order is actually considered harassment. This applies to intentionally trying to stick someone with a pie, but an accidental address mishap could potentially result in a $500 fine as well. It's not often that a state bans banning something. In 2013, New York Mayor Michael
That's kind of dumb, bro. That's kind of dumb, bro. Because the way houses work, it's literally like the house right across the street is like one number off from your exact address, bro. So if you got fat ass sausage fingers and you accidentally press 2 instead of 1 and they send it to your neighbor, bro, look at that. Now you're a criminal. Now you gotta pay a fine, dude. You wanted a $20 pizza and now you gotta pay $500 and your neighbor ate your pizza and is fucking your wife. Like, you really are down bad, bro.
Bloomberg was well known for his
You're
health
really down
regulations.
bad.
He banned giant-sized sodas and required restaurants to post their calorie counts. Well, in Mississippi, they didn't like that. So soon afterward, they passed a law nicknamed the Anti-Bloomberg Bill that explicitly banned towns in the state from requiring nutritional information on menus. The law is still in effect 8 years later, and Mississippi takes a stand to prevent diners from knowing too much about what goes into a giant plate of barbecue. You wouldn't think a law would be needed to keep this game from getting rowdy. Ah, bingo. A nice, relaxing game of chance where the elderly come to win prizes and feel the thrill of victory. It's all fun and games, at least until Myrtle and Ethel called bingo.
I played bingo one time, right? I went with my mom when I was like 10, and I won $1,000 at the bingo, and I didn't get a dime of it, bro. She bought me a fucking Happy Meal.
Second apart, and the canes go flying. That's why in North Carolina, it's illegal to sell or consume any alcoholic beverage in a place where bingo is being played. And it doesn't fall under a general rule banning alcohol around games of chance either. They passed a law specifically about bingo. What did Myrtle do?
That's it.
But they're not as strict
bingo.
as their neighbor to the south. South Carolina has a pretty involved juvenile justice code. Don't want those kids to get out of control, after all. These laws usually don't carry hefty criminal charges, instead charging kids with status offenses, where they usually get released home to their parents and have to face a judge. Most are common sense, covering things like truancy and curfews, but the law goes out of its way to ban one popular activity: playing pinball.
Pinball.
Maybe it was too close to gambling for their tastes, or maybe they just really don't like the song Pinball Wizard.
Real
but if you're a kid in
gamers
South
were made on
Carolina,
pinball.
stay away from those
okay?
flippers.
The
But it's not the
built-in
most
Windows
unusual bit of
pinball.
recreation banned in a U.S. state. In the great state of Louisiana, there are some tough and hardy men, so tough in fact that they feel like testing themselves in the sport of bear wrestling. This is exactly what it sounds like.
This is a thing? Bear wrestling! Where do I sign up? Nah, bro, it is time for my big break. This time for me to shine. Wrestling a bear, I do that as a hobby on the weekends, bro. And every other Thursday, dude. I'm telling you, bro, these bears, they don't want to smoke.
Or more people fighting a
Where
bear
do I
in a
sign
wrestling
up?
match. Now, we're willing to bet that not too many people do this activity twice, but enough people try to take their lives in their hands that that state had to make a crime to participate in or train a bear for a wrestling match. It carries a penalty of a fine of $500 and prison time of up to 6 months, and we're betting a strange look from the judge at sentencing. These are the oddest state laws.
Who
but the
just has
federal
a
government
bear,
gets in
like,
on the
just
action
ready
too.
to go?
Are you someone who likes to live on the edge? If you're planning on skydiving anytime soon, you should be able to do it legally. Just don't drink too much before you do it. Sure, it might be tempting to have a few and take the edge off of those nerves, but it's considered a federal crime. Who knows why? After all, what's the worst that could happen when a drunk person falls from an extreme height and
Here's the worst that could happen. He gets completely blacked out drunk, jumps out of the plane, and then immediately starts thinking about his ex. Right? And then Marvin's Room starts softly playing in the back of his brain. He starts crying gently, and then he completely forgets that he's plummeting to his death. So he never opens his parachute, and he just splat. Boom, there you go. That's the
remember
worst.
to pull a parachute in time.
That's the
We just
worst.
hate to think about why this law was passed. If you're a food lover, you might be surprised by just how involved the feds are in your dinner plate. You bite into an onion ring, and somehow this just doesn't taste right. Looking at it closely, it seems to be missing the ring part. The breaded circle is actually filled with diced onions. The restaurant didn't just commit a culinary faux pas, they might have committed a federal crime, violating a statute that regulates the content of onion rings and requires restaurants to disclose if they're using
Onion
dried
rings.
or diced onions. We don't know why the federal government got involved here, but maybe one
Dude, somebody must have got pissed. Somebody must have gotten pissed. They had ordered some onion rings, but instead they got some diced onion loops, bro. And they felt so strongly about it, they just went on a rampage in that fucking Waffle House, dude.
Richmond had some really bad onion rings. The government
They
takes
was
food
pissed.
seriously, including lunch meat. Have you ever eaten turkey ham? Wait,
I got turkey and ham and salami in my fridge right now.
nothing beat both a turkey and a ham. This popular cold cut is usually a formed cured loaf of dark meat turkey that looks a little like ham, and the government wants to make sure no one gets confused. That's why the labeling of this lunch meat is strictly regulated. The words turkey and ham can't be in different orders or fonts so that no one will think they're actually advertising pork or regular turkey. That's a lot of restrictions for meat most commonly seen as the second in 4 of a turkey variety.
I mean, it's not
pack.
like it doesn't literally say turkey right on the fucking, like, big-ass bold letters. Turkey! Like, that's the whole fucking thing.
But
It
there's
literally
one
just says
condiment that the
turkey on
government
it.
takes even more seriously.
Ketchup.
Nothing can ruin a sandwich or a pile of fries more than opening a bottle of ketchup and it's runny. The government agrees, so they regulate how fast the ketchup will flow out of the bottle before it can be sold. Using an instrument named a Bostwick consistometer, regulators make sure that it can't travel more than 14 centimeters in 30 seconds. If it exceeds that, it gets labeled substandard. They also regulate the name of the condiment, and any form of ketchup, catsup, or ketchup are acceptable. Who calls ketchup ketchup? This next law...
Dude, see, that's a good one, bro. That is a good one. Because I can't tell you how many hot dogs I've ruined by, you know, a brand new bottle of ketchup and then you squirt it. But it's like, it's just like the liquid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the actual, like, thick ketchup. It's just like the water shit. And then you squirt that shit on your hot dog and now your hot dog is soggy. Now you got a soggy dog, and I'm sad, bro. That should be a crime. They forcing people to eat soggy dogs, bro. That is a crime. Absolutely, I agree with that one.
It's illegal to influence the weather, but it's also impossible to do that, right? Well, besides singing a song when it rains, the odds are no private citizen can. But during the Vietnam War, the government was studying how to create weather events over enemy lines to disrupt their troops. This was seen by the government as very dangerous, and they did not want the information to come out. So they passed a law making it illegal to modify the weather without notifying the Secretary of Commerce, to the tune of a fine of $10,000. So now sci-fi weather machines are only the purview of the government. Yay? You probably never thought about breaking this next law, we hope. If a horse passes you by on the street and splashes you with mud, you might get a little angry. You might even be tempted to make an angry gesture, but if you do it in the wrong place, that might be a federal crime. It's illegal to make an unreasonable gesture to a passing horse on federal land, which means you can...
It's illegal, so you can't. So if a horse muddies up your new Givenchy sweatpants, you can't just flip it off, bro. What about violence? What about violence, bro? I got this fresh, brand new fit. This horse gonna fuck it up. Can I beat the shit out of the horse? Or is violence covered, or is it just the unruly gestures? Like, is it all covered, bro?
You can flip that horse to bird all you want on the streets of New York. But what is an unreasonable gesture is up to interpretation, which is why the federal government eventually amended the law to make it not much less vague. Just don't do anything that isn't prudent when that horse passes. The federal government is very involved with animals, but maybe no more than this next case. Falcons. Why is the federal government so interested in falcons? These smart birds can be trained by talented falconers for hunting, and the government strictly regulates how many falcons a person can own and how they must be treated. But oddly, there's also a regulation on how falconry can be portrayed in the media. Trained birds of prey cannot appear in movies unless it concerns the hobby or relevant issues involving birds of prey, and the handlers cannot be paid for the bird's role in the film. This has led filmmakers who want to use falcons in their movies to go for a simpler solution: computer-generated birds. For more on weird laws, check out Crazy Laws That...
Nice. Some of these laws are so stupid they don't make any type of sense whatsoever. Some of these laws are so needed because Americans are dumb, bro. Like the fact that people in Alabama aren't just fucking their family, they're driving around blindfolded is an act of violence upon the general populace, bro. Right? The runny-ass ketchup, that is also a threat to the general population, bro. So some of these make sense. Some of these made absolutely no sense. But this was an interesting video to look at.